Welcome back everyone. Welcome back to the day 3 for our Jan 20th batch. So let's continue with where we left on Friday, and from there on we will progress the test. All right. So here is the Excel sheet that we've been working on. Now let's take a quick look at what has been done here and what we have performed on this so far. Okay. Now so typically you know the application chasestudentloans.com. Now you also know that we are trying to test one scenario of the simple budget calculator. So we have not yet come to the testing part. We're still trying to learn how we can use QTP to automate these steps. So let's quickly open up the script, and team, just to let you know, I might go a little more faster than usual so that we catch up with the speed of the whole program. All right. So here is the quick look at the script that we generated so far. So how did the script get generated? This script got generated when we did a record. QTP had automatically did two things. Number one, it created a list of all the objects so that it can identify where it has to do a certain action, right? That actions are called the what or the method that we perform on these objects. How QTP recognizes these objects is using the properties which will come over slowly. All right, team. So now let's see what parts have we automated in this. Am I entering expenses into every field in that application? No. I'm only taking a set of certain fields to enter something into it. Correct? And the same is for income. I'm only entering a few of the incomes into it. But primarily, after I click the calculate and before I close the browser, what is it that we need to do? What we need to do is be able to get the results and compare the results, right? So we will try and finish this part today, how we get the results and compare the results. Now, other important thing that we have to note, team, is that do we have to do this for only one set of data, or do we need to repeat these steps for different sets of data? We do have to repeat these steps for different sets of data, correct? So let's try and see how we can change this data each time we run the test. So if I want to put in different types of expenses or different numbers into the expense each time, what can we do as we stand today? I can go here and I can change the information in the script manually every time. Correct? So this is a very laborious process. Hence, let me close this active screen because it just gives in too much of the memory there. Hence, what we're going to do is we will start to do something called as parameterization. So let's go ahead and save this test as CSL3 and start to do something called as parameterization. So what is parameterization? Parameter is nothing but saying that this test requires certain inputs to work. What are the inputs? I'm saying this test or this script is like a box. It performs certain steps. Okay. What steps or what it performs will depend on what we give as inputs into this. Okay. And then we get something as an output out of this box. This box I'm referring to is the script. So depending on the numbers or the information that we pass, we get the results. What kind of a loan that student needs to apply and so on, right? It is very similar to the amount of acceleration or gas you give to your car, the kind of speed it generates, right? Depending on the gear you're in, it generates the kind of power and speed as well. So those are the inputs that you're giving to the object car. And depending on the amount you're giving, you get the output, which is the speed. All right. So those are the parameters which drive the test. Now I'm saying we will create variables. Can you hear me now, team? Can you hear me now, team? Are you able to hear me now? All right, just a second, please. Sorry, team. All right. So audio okay right now for everyone? So now we're going to define something called as variables through which I can parameterize this test. Okay. Variables used to parameterize our test. So this is a comment. This is a note that I'm putting. So what kind of a variables can I do? Every variable that I write, I will say that it is V as the initial and I give it a specific name. And what I'm saying is, let's say books. So I'll say there's a variable called V books. What is a variable? As the definition stands, English wise, it's something that keeps changing. So I can put different information into whatever I require. So if I say V books, and let's say I put a value like 350 into it, and then let's say V food, and I say equals 650. What are these? These are VB script statement. What it does is it takes the value on the right side of the equation and it puts that value onto the left side out here. Alright. That is what is called as our parameterization. Alright, team. Now, how do we do this? How does QTP work? As soon as it sees line 2, what QTP does when it's running the code is it creates a small block of memory in its running application. It gives it a specific name, very small block, and the name is V whatever. Whatever we give here. I can give a name called Karthik. I can give a name called Smita, whatever, it doesn't matter. As long as it is not some standard names that QTP recognizes, like a browser, like a page, which are class names for those objects, or the methods like click and set. These are predetermined, and QTP recognizes them as a different activity that it has to perform. So we have to give unique names that are not pre-recognized by QTP. What are these? How do you know them? You know them only through practice. There is no, I don't prefer that you go through a manual and say, okay, these are all the terms that we cannot use. You will come to know them as we practice. So I cannot say things like weight equals 350. It doesn't work that way. Okay. So as soon as this memory is created, what is it that we intend to do with it? I am saying that it has created a small block and it has put the name as VBooks. And when I say 350, this value is now referred here. How can I make sure that this is how it is doing? I want to see the value in message box. So now I'll say message box V books. What does this message box do? This message box gives us a simple pop-up saying whatever is contained in VBooks is what we want. So as soon as I hit the F1 key, you will get the instruction of what is this message box doing. Okay. Displays a message in a dialog box. Best way for us is to look at it in action. I will give another line called message box value in VBooks is, close the quotes, then I'm going to use something called as a simple ampersand and say VBooks. Okay. Now I'm going to use a breakpoint to run my test till line 8. Why do I want to use a breakpoint? I only want to test this code. I don't want to go forward and actually perform these steps right now. So as soon as I hit F5, the shortcut for run, and let it take the temporary. Each time IE opens up. Why does Internet Explorer open up? Team, do you know? Why does Internet Explorer open up? It opens up because that is the first thing I did. We said in the record and run settings, when we are automating QTP, we will ask QTP to open IE and go to that URL. So that still remains. As soon as I hit the run, even before it starts to execute the code, it will do this step. And I'll show you how we can avoid this step through the script. Now what did I get? VBooks. Where is this coming from? Is it coming from line 2, line 3, line 5 or line 6? Not sure. Okay, let's click on OK. I get another one. Value is VBooks is 350. In fact, my English is also incorrect in that. Let's go correct. So not sure which line is doing what. So now I want to execute it line by line instead of everything till line 8. So what can I use? I will not use a breakpoint. Breakpoint will take me all the way till here. I'm going to go to debug, like I showed you earlier, and click on the step into. This will ask QTP to execute one step at a time. Alright. Now it is ready to execute line 2. line 2 is not yet executed. Okay. Once I say step into, QTP has executed line 2. So it has taken the value 350 and it has put that into VBooks. Where can I see this? Is there a way that I can see actually what QTP is doing this way? Yes, very important. Go to view and select debug viewer. Whatever you see in debug viewer or you see under this debug options will help us to make sure that our code is working correctly. Team, please understand that you are sitting through these sessions to master VB scripting and then be able to apply it within QTP. And this is how I'm going to instruct how we learn VB scripting. In the debug viewer, very importantly, you go to the variable section. Can you see these variable steps? In here, I see three things: a name, a value, and a type. So I told these are variables, and QTP has recognized that VBooks is a variable. There is a value into it that we put, and it is 350, and there is a type it has given to that variable. What is a type of a variable? The VB script code or QTP recognizes these variables as specific type. Anything that I give inside a quotes is called as strings. QTP will take it as is. It has got no essence for QTP except for that it is a text. It can be a number, it can be alphanumeric, it can be just a text. It is considered as one string altogether as one thing. Okay. If I don't use quotes, let's see what will happen next. But why is vfoods not yet appearing here? vfood is not yet appearing here because I have not yet executed line 3. So as soon as I execute line 3, what happens? Let's look at what happens to the bottom window. There you go. vfood has also come here. There's a value put into it and it is also a type string. Now line 5 I'm saying. So what do I expect line 5 to give me? A pop-up like we saw earlier, but the value 350 should be coming out for me. Okay. How QTP knows VBooks is a string? Very simple. It sees that it is a string. What QTP does is anytime it gives an equation, it starts with the right side. It takes the value and it puts it on the left side. So before putting the value on the what is there on the left side, QTP has to identify what is this, and then it recognizes since it's in strings, it's in quotes, it's a string, and that's how it decides it's a string for that. So I'll show you a few more numbers and then you'll come to know. Now let's hit step into. I get message box. Good, I got a message box. So unless I click on OK, QTP will not go to execute the next step. But why is it showing me VBooks and why is it not showing me 350? The reason is very simple. Whenever I give anything in quotes, QTP will treat it as is. Okay, as is. So if I give VBooks in the code, QTP treats it as is. If I need the value inside VBooks, I need to use VBooks without quotes. What am I trying to say? I am trying to say that I just mentioned that as soon as QTP sees a variable, it gives it a name, correct? First it says, okay, this is the name. If I need the value inside the variable, which is 350, then I should call it as VBooks. If I say VBooks inside quotes, it takes this text as is. Just remember that concept, practice, and you will be able to understand it very, very clearly. Now let's click on OK. Then QTP will try and execute line 6. Now I'll hit step into. QTP is executing line 6. Alright. At this point, it shows me something different. Value is, in fact, wanted value in variable VBooks is 350. Now it is showing me 350. Why is it doing that and how is the statement working? QTP, when I give message box, it will give whatever is there in it. So if I say value is VBooks is space in quotes, QTP has taken that entire string. This symbol called ampersand, what it does is it joins two strings together. So it's joined it with not the quotes, open quote, end quote VBooks, but the value inside VBooks. Now I'm calling a variable by its name. What is the name of the variable? VBooks. Can you see this? Name of the variable is VBooks. The value inside it is 350. The only way we can master this is by repeating ourselves multiple number of times. Now let's take a few more examples. So I'll say V clothing. Okay, and this time I will say it is 200 without quotes. Alright team. Then I will say, let's say V car equals 212. 0.12. That is the value I'm giving it to it. Okay. Then I will say V insurance equals, let's say in bracket, in quotes, low. I'm saying it's low. I don't have a number, so I'm just giving a text into it. All right. Now I'm saying value here. The English should be in variable V books is, okay, this. Now if I want the same message box to come for other variables, what do? I change this to, let's say, V food. This is V clothing. Then V car. Then wherever I want those values, I will put that here. Okay, V insurance, V food. All right. Now I have so many message boxes. So each time a pop-up will come. Okay. Yes. If you see some kind of spelling mistakes, it's done deliberately. I'll show you why. A pop-up will come saying that, okay, message box, V books. I have to click on OK onto it. So each time it is very annoying for us to use message box because you have to click OK, only then it will go to the next step. What is the alternate if I just want to interact with QTP in such a way that it's showing me the values? Whatever the statements are there, I want them printed either in message box or in a separate page. Then there is an alternate called print statement. What a print does is I can take the same exact steps, okay, and instead of message box I will replace this with print. These are all VBScript statements, team. This will make our debugging to execute our code very easy. Now I want to show you, instead of how a message box works, which I showed you earlier, I will comment this code and I'll show you how a print statement works. Now let me execute this code. Again we will do a debug step into. Okay. What is in my variables? How did this view come up for us so that I can watch the variables? I went to view here when the run started, after the run started. This is team, okay? After the run, we are in a run mode. That's when I selected debug viewer. Okay, anything here? No. So let's continue to do it. VBooks value 350 in quotes, type is string. VFood same thing, type is string. VClothing 200, no quotes to it, and it is saying it's an integer. That is your other variable type, which is saying it is an integer. What are integers? Your positive, negative numbers which do not have any decimals. Okay. How about vcar when we execute line 5, sorry. It says double. What is a double? Any number which also has a decimals within it are called doubles. Primarily, these are the most important things for you to know for now. Okay. There are a few more only data types or variable types which we will explore a little later. But for now, this is what we can stick with. Okay. We don't have to go any beyond these three types of variables. Integer, any number, negative or positive without decimals. Double, any number with decimals, which is negative or positive. These are different types. Okay. Just the way QTP recognizes it. Now, V insurance, again it's a string. There's a value in it called low. Alright. Now let's see what happens when line 14 gets executed. Can you see a pop-up which came up? It created a simple print log where it's starting to print whatever I give here. Okay. Is it interfering anything with our script? No. I can continue to do the script and whatever you want is being displayed out here. Can you see this? Value in variable VBooks is 350 and so on. Alright. Next, value in variable VFood is 650. Can you see the quotes? No. We are just seeing the value that is there inside it. With quotes, without quotes, doesn't matter for QTP. It will just give the value inside it. Now let's look at V insurance. V clothing. Value in variable V clothing is blank. I didn't get anything. Interesting. Why didn't I get that? Next, value in variable V car is 212.12. Perfect. So we got this information except for this statement. So where did the statement go wrong? Where did line 17 go wrong? Did QTP throw a run error? No. Why didn't it throw a run error? QTP will throw a run error when it does not know what to do. It is finding it tough to move forward because of a certain problem. In this case, it doesn't find a problem. So it continues to move forward, assuming that everything is correct. Alright. So What are the three types of variables we defined? String, which are anything, alphanumeric in quotes, integer, which is a number, positive or negative with no decimals into it, then a double, which is any number with a decimals into it. So why are these different data types required? It is simple like this. These are like three different types of boxes that you go to a Walmart and probably buy. Okay, your plastic container boxes. If you wish to store your medications, you will buy a smaller box. If you wish to store your clothes, you may buy a bigger box. If you wish to store, let's say, your kids' toys, you may buy a bigger container, right? Why do you buy these different size containers? Why can't you buy everything bigger? Your medications will also fit in a bigger container, right? But you want to save space. You want to only create space enough for what is needed. If it's just a small family of 4 people, do we need to live in a 7-bedroom luxurious house? No, unless you really want to. It's a different thing. We don't. That is exactly why QTP only tries to give enough memory to any object as is needed. So a string has a certain amount of memory, an integer has a certain amount of memory, a double has a larger memory, and so on. So unless it sees decimal, it thinks it's an integer. So it is trying to automatically create the data types depending on, or variable types depending on what values are going into it. Right? So let's stop this test once again and try and see where did we go wrong. We went wrong on line 19. Why? Looks like I said V clothing and here I'm saying V insurance. Okay, so I'll say V insurance here. And this is probably that QTP is trying to see what did I give you here. I said V clothing, and it is trying to take that V clothing depending on what I gave as text here. Let's assume for a minute and let's try and rerun this test. Okay, now all this is good. I'm taking the variables and I'm putting values into it. Okay, so what is the whole intent? The whole intent is to go a little more forward before I do this test, team. Let's save this. Unless if QTP crashes by mistake, we will lose everything. So tuition, I'm leaving it as blank. Books, instead of 275, I'm going to replace this line 26, whatever we're putting into that, with our variable that we created called vbooks. For food, I'm going to say it is vfood. Okay. For clothing, I have vclothing. Okay. For car, I have V car. Okay. For insurance, I have V insurance. Okay. So this is what I'm taking, and now I wish to go a little more ahead into the test to see what I'm trying to do. So I showed you that you can declare a variable by using the simple statements, take a value and put it into that variable. Right? Now wherever I want, I can use that variable. I'm using this variable here. I'm also using this variable here. Right? So if I need to change the information on line 15 and line 26, all I have to do is I have to go here and change it at one place, 355. Wherever else I'm using, it will always use that value. Okay? And anytime in the script, I can go ahead and rechange this. So if I say here, vbooks is equal to 375, it will put 375 into that. Okay, let's see. All this is about executing. It's a trial and error team. Okay, I want you to understand the flow of this application, of this script. Okay, let's do another debug run. All your questions will slowly get answered. Whenever you have questions, team, perfect place is to open up your QTP, go to the VB script, try to write the code, let the errors come up. As you solve the errors, you will master the tool. Okay, and here's how I will guide you through it. Now same thing, view, let's keep that, debug viewer. So as I continue to execute till line 6, all the information has come. Now let's continue to print. Did I get vbooks as is, print? This statement is just like that. Whatever text I'm putting here, blah 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 blah, it should come there. Now from line 15 onwards, it is very specific, giving me the data in each of these variables. Clothing, is it 200? Yes. Insurance is still not coming up. Why is insurance still not coming up? Interesting. Variable, we'll have to come back and fix something is going wrong in line 18. Variable vcar is also good. Now I'm saying click. So what is the value in vbook so far? 355. Correct? Yep. Now I'm going to give the instruction for QTP to continue to click on that link. So now we are at a page where we are clicking on that link. So now I expect QTP to start to enter values. So what is the first value? I'm saying vbooks is 375. So what is happening? Observe to what happens to this display out here. vbooks currently value 355, type is string. I used the vbooks here. Now somewhere in mid of the code I'm changing the value. As I change the value, you will see this is changed here, and wherever I use it going forward, it will be the new value until we change it again. Alright team, it will be very easy for you team when you repeat this video once again or practice on the script. Only two solutions to it. Okay. Now what did I do with line 26? I said tuition set to blank, nothing. I didn't give anything. Interesting. So it took that nothing and it put it in tuition. Now let's see what will happen. Next, vbooks 375. Yes, that is the recent value for that variable. Recent value for that variable with the name vbooks. Now as we continue, QTP will take that information and start putting it in these variables. Everything else is hard coded. Hard coded in the sense it is put out here itself. There is no variable which is storing that value. Alright. So now I'll say, okay, let it run. Let it continue. I get a message. Where is it? From QTP or from the application? Where is this message coming up from team? The application. Where is the application? On the left side this time. My QTP is on the right side. This message is saying that the application expected something, it didn't find it. QTP is not yet thrown any error. Now it has thrown an error. What is the error QTP is doing? It is saying object is disabled. So when it's trying to close the browser, it is not able to close because there is a pop-up that is there that needs to be handled. Okay. What is that pop-up saying? The pop-up is saying all fields must be completed. Please use zeros where applicable. So I can't give a blank text into it. I have to give, if I don't want a value going into it, give a 0. That's fine for the application. But I have to make sure that I give some value into it. So I have to fix that. Then I'll ask QTP out here in the run error to retry this. Okay. So line 46 failed. QTP is not able to close the browser because of this pop-up. Let's click on OK. Let's go back, see where the problem is. In fact, I don't even have to fix this. Now let's click on stop. Okay, sorry, retry. Now let's see if QTP is able to do it. Okay. There you go. QTP could close that browser. Earlier it couldn't because it saw a pop-up which was prohibiting QTP from doing it. Very important tip. Is that application showing you something? Is QTP showing you something? We got to identify. So where did the problem come? The problem came here. So let's say I don't have another variable for vtuition. I want vbooks itself. I'll take that and I'll put it here. But we also saw that line 31 we had a problem. It didn't put any value. And same with line 18. How can I solve this problem? This problem can be solved by being organized in what we do. Okay. There is something called as declaration of variables. Okay. Declaration of variables. Not mandatory. What does that mean? If I say a thing like dim and I say vbooks, comma, space, vfood, comma, space, vclothing, comma, space, vcar, comma, space, vinsurance, what I'm telling QTP is I will use these variables. Please allocate memory for the use. That is what this statement is doing. It is just declaring empty boxes. It has not given any size to it. It has not given any shape to it. It has only given empty boxes and name. The size it will expand based on what we put into it. So let's click on an F1 on dim and we will say dim statement, display that, declares variables and allocates storage space. It doesn't put any values into it. Yes. Team, I know why that error is coming and I want to show you the problem with that. Okay. When I said it is not mandatory, even if I say Control M and run this code, it will run. It is not mandatory to use this. But you will see a slight difference when I start this step into. Okay, can you see the difference here? Even before line 4 to 8 gets executed, QTP is showing me all the list of things that I've declared here. I said V books, V food, V clothing, V car, V insurance. There is no value into it. I have not yet put value. And it is saying the type is user defined type. User defined type is basically saying it's generic at the moment. Till I put a value into it, there is nothing going into it. This is just empty boxes of any size. The size or the type in this case, this is string or an integer or a double, will be automatically given to it as we tend to put values. So whenever I give dim, it's a great programming practice. Why? I will show you. Now when I start to go step into, you will see the values getting changed and the type also getting assigned. Okay. So earlier we never used to see all the list of the variables here. We only used to see as they were created. So this dim statement is not a mandatory thing. But then why is this a good programming practice? Because if I now use something called as an option explicit, what this does is forces use of dim statement for declaring variables. Alright, what this does is from now on, if I use a variable, it must be declared in this dim statement in that format, whatever format is there, before we use it. So now let's try and execute this code again and show you what that means. Okay, same thing so far. Line 1 and 3 automatically executed even before the code ran. Okay, now directly on line 5. So as I continue to do it, it will start putting value. VBooks, same thing. It is printing on the same log that it generated last time. I can close this and it will start to do it on a new one. Okay, value in variable is VBooks is 355, 650, 200. But when I came to the point of line 21, it says variable is undefined. See, I did a small spell mistake out here. Okay, and this didn't get captured when I did earlier runs. It just started saying there's no value into that variable. Now why is it giving this? Because I'm saying V insurance is a variable and I have not put any value into it, but more importantly I didn't define it using that dim statement, and that is the reason it is saying it is undefined, and that's a run error for QTP. So you can go back and easily say that okay, cool, I will go ahead and redefine it. Correct the name. The same out here. So this dim statement, when you work with multiple variables, it makes you be able to document everything very clearly out here up front, saying that what are the variables that we will use. Okay, first we are declaring the variables. Okay, declaration of variables is what we are doing to start with. Okay, then we are putting values into it. Okay, putting values into the variables that we defined. Then we are using it wherever we want. Okay. No, all good, all good. So this is what we are doing. So assume that this code will work fine. And I'm saying into tuition also I don't have another variable. I'm lazy to define another variable right now. Let's take the same value that is there in VBooks and put it into tuition. How does it matter? I want a value to go into it. Let it go into it. But let's go back to a plan once again. Here there are certain steps and I want these steps to be repeated. I want to be able to enter different values each time and come back with different outputs, what that application is giving me. So how can I do that? So what are the steps I need to repeat? If I go here and I color this text black, I'll see. Okay, this is basically repeat yes or no kind of a thing. So the intent is that I will open the browser one time. I'll click on the budget calculator link one time. I will go to that page. From there on, I will enter some expenses, enter some earnings, click calculate button, get the results, compare the results, and then go back to entering the expenses again, enter more different earnings, enter this. So this way, lines 9 to 13, I would like to repeat multiple number of times. How many number of times? How many ever sets of data I want? So how can I do that? How can I make those steps repeat? And which are the steps? The steps are from entering expenses from line 27 till line 48. I want to repeat. For that, we use something called as a loop statement. A loop statement will tell QTP, execute line 27 to 48, then come back to line 27, go till 48, come back to line 27, go till 48, and so on for a certain number of time. How? I'll say for, as soon as I give space, it gives me a next. So this is called a for loop team. So let's say variable count equals 1, 2, 5. What this does is if I say print v count iteration is ampersand v count, what this statement will do is all the lines between 27 to 29, QTP will repeat it 5 number of times. Each time it will print this statement. Will it be the same statement each time? Let's see. Okay, let's see. Let's start to execute this code and then we will notice. I'm putting a breakpoint here and let the code run till line 26 first. So QTP, I want it to run till line 26 and then see. Now, will this line 26 work? Yes, it clicks on the budget calculator on the application, no problem. Now line 27. What is this team? Exactly, I need to define this v count. Why? V count is also a variable. So if I need to use this, I need to define it. Why should I define it? Is it not optional? No, it is no longer optional because I used option explicit. So I will say dim v count. Do I always need to put it on the same line, or can I create another dim and write v count? You can create any number of dims. It does the same thing. The neater you want your code to look, it is easier for people to work with you in the organization or for you to work with others. Why? Because you will create this code today. You may assign it to some other person and move on to a different project, and that person will need to be able to read through this code, your Excel sheets, your documentation, your Word docs and so on, and be able to understand what is it that you have done so far. And hence your documentation is very important. Okay, your option explicit will force you to declare any variable you wish to use in the script at this starting point using a dim statement. Okay, it is a good programming practice. When I read through someone's code like this, then I know, okay, these are the variables that they've declared, which is probably what they will use going forward. Alright, so now hopefully that problem is solved. Now let's try and rerun this test. Okay, so let's hit the run. Now line 28. What did it do? It executed line 28, and out here v count, it has put a value of 1 and it's saying it is integer. Why is it an integer? There are no decimals. Okay, print statement, v count iteration is, where is it going? Let's see. It's here. V count iteration is 1. Cool. So it is taking the string text as is, and out here this ampersand symbol is joining this text with whatever is there in this variable as a value. What is in this variable? 1. Cool. Line 30 next. Now I expect it to go to line 32. From line 30 I expect it to go to line 32. What happens? It comes back to line 29. Whenever it hits next, it will continue to loop back until the v count value reaches 5. And each time v count is incremented by 1. It was 1 earlier, now it is 2. Okay. Now if I continue to do this, it will click next, it will go to 2. It will click next, it will go to 3. And each time I'm getting a different value printed out here. Alright team? Fair enough. So that's how your for loop works. Now it is 3. Now it is 4. Will it do 5? Yes, it did 5. Now will it do 6? No. It has gone to line 32. So that's how your for loop works. Anything that I give in the code will do it. It'll repeat those steps that number of times. So what are the steps we wish to repeat as per our required functionality? I'll say for v count equals 1 to 5. The same thing. And this next, instead of bit being here, I will put it before we close the browser. And I will hit a tab, select all the text between line 32 and line 55 and hit a couple of tabs. This is basically indenting your text. indenting your code a little bit further so that you are able to easily read. When someone comes and reads your code, okay, for loop, what code is contained in this for loop? Okay, these are the steps which are getting repeated multiple times. Did we find a mechanism to be able to capture this and be able to compare these? No. These steps are not yet executed. Okay, we will execute these steps as we go on. So let's see. I'm saying I put a status out here. So I'm saying OpenIE, do all this. Get the results. Have we got the results? No, we have not yet got the results. Are we able to compare the results? No. Everything else we are able to perform so far. Alright team? Makes sense so far? So let's give it a try. Now, if I do this, just look at what might happen to you. Think through the code before it actually runs. Okay, QTP will come here, line 28 to 30, it will execute 5 number of times, I don't need it, let's comment it. Okay, then it will go to line 32, v count is 1, then it will go to line 55, come back, repeat the same things 5 times. Why do I need to do the same things 5 different times? Can't I do different sets of values each time? I can. Then I need to collect those values from the user each time. Instead, let me do a shortcut. I will say my grants is v count. This is a variable. It is changing. So each time a grant will change here. Okay. And whatever is there. So we'll put 1 to start with. Then we'll put 2. Then we'll put 3. But small numbers, right? Compared to all the others in hundreds. Okay. Then can I make this as 100 to 105? Oops. 1055, it would have done it 900 plus times or 800 plus times. Now I'm saying that v count value will start from 100, it will go till 105. And each time whenever v count changes, the only place I'm using that different value is in this web edit grants. So the grants value will keep changing. Let's evaluate it. Okay. Before we execute line 51, I wish to put a breakpoint. Oops. I hit F5 instead of F5. Every time we write the code team, great opportunity for us to execute the code and see how it works. And best is to put breakpoints and then from there on debug whatever you wish to do. Okay, from here on it is putting the values. All this we have seen so earlier, so we'll skip. Now line 47, did it execute line 47? Yes. What value did it take? 100. Why? Because v count is storing 100 at the moment. Cool. Now we get a result. Insurance field has invalid data, low. See, this is another problem. Why? Because in the QTP, when I gave insurance, I said the value is low. And QTP, that application took that value as low and it's put that value there. It cannot accept. And this is a message again coming from the web page or the application. So our test will tend to fail. So what we will do is let's go back and change what we deliberately gave as an error. This was the old statement. I'll replace this with the new statement. I'll say 123, whatever. And let's comment the old statement. Let's execute everything again. Execute this as well. Let's put all the values. Now, before we hit calculate, let's look at what is there. Cool. So let's hit the calculate and let's see. Okay, we got minus 535.12. That is the difference between this value and this value. Cool. That seems to be correct. Now let's continue. See, the whole mastering part team is to master your VBScript, which is one of the most simplest languages. You will be able to easily learn this language just by a little bit of effort from your side of practice. And that's it. We will keep going with it. Is my audio okay? Team, is my audio back? Is my audio back, team? Team, is my audio back now? Okay. Alright, team, is my audio back? Yes, all right, cool. So I'm going to quickly wind up today's session and then try and take any questions that you may have. So at this point, you see that the code is getting executed. Now, cool, one iteration done. Let's continue to do the other iteration and let's see what value goes into grants this time. See, 101 is going into it. Great. And we'll get a different value each time. So each time we're trying to use this different value So the test is running for different values. Now, ideally speaking, I don't wish to do this. I wish to be able to get to a capability where QTP is able to automatically go and read these values from an Excel sheet where I can store the data. And that's going to be your data-driven framework team. Okay. I will quickly show you how we will do data-driven framework on this application. After we've completed all of this, then finally I'll do a data-driven framework around this application. We will also take another application, different sets of application to do a similar data-driven framework, but much more faster manner. And instead of doing a record, we will add all the objects that we need and we will work with it. Okay. So after we complete the data-driven framework, then we will get into our keyword-driven framework, which is going to be a mega project for us. So while all this is going on, I will keep guiding you what videos to watch before the next session start. Okay. For now, you're fine. But if you get a chance, try and watch the variable, the first 4 or 5 pre-recorded videos from that Word document links that I've sent. Video on functions, video on how to read and write from Excel, video on actions if possible for you, and anything else. You can keep on going through that order if you have time on your hand. All right. So far, what we've done in the class is we have learned to declare variables, put values in them, and be able to retrieve the value and use it wherever we want, be it in message box, print statements, or as a value that is going in to one of these objects as an input. Okay. And now when we come back tomorrow, I'm going to show you how we will retrieve these values from that application. We're able to take the values from QTP. Okay. From QTP, we are able to send it into the application team. That is what we have been doing so far. Okay. And now tomorrow I will show you how we'll bring it back from the application into QTP. And as we do this, we are learning the basics of VB scripting, which will constantly repeat it and apply it in multiple cases going forward. And when we get into the data-driven framework mode, I will show you how we'll be able to read the value from Excel into the script first, then from QTP into application, application back into QTP, QTP back to the Excel file. That will be our data-driven framework. Okay. Questions, team? Sorry, there are only 5 minutes left, but would be glad to answer any questions. What is recent value? Please explain. Okay, recent value is nothing. Current value is most right term for me to use. What is the current value? When line, for example, VBooks, when line 21 was getting executed, the value in the variable with the name VBooks was whatever we gave previously, 355. When line 37 and 38 was getting executed, the value in the variables VBooks was 375 because I changed it. Those are variables. You can change the values in these variables. Right? So the recent value I was referring to more as the most current value. Team, I'm open to questions, please. Mohammed, do you have a question? Hello? Mohammed, sorry, you had your hand raised, so not sure you had a question. Okay, let's see. Team, any questions which is not related with the class, please kindly keep it aside. But where the classes you spoke about, interested in using XLS as input. Okay, yes, those are part of the pre-record videos. If you're already someone who's confirmed into the batch, you must have got it, or if someone who's recently confirmed over some parts of today, you will get it by tonight my time. Those are list of about 20 plus pre-record session on different topics, framework overviews, different types of frameworks that I've done, how to work with Excel, how to work with Word documents, file system objects, XMLs, and lots of other collections, most of which we will try and use as our learning when we get into the classes. Can we change the values during each iteration? Yes. So that is the intent. How do we change the values into each iteration is what we will be coming to in the next class. Okay. Pavan, can you reply to me please so that I can look at it? QTP membership for all the people paid or confirmed, we'll get it by tonight. Okay. Where can I get the videos? As I mentioned, you'll get it if you've already confirmed. Yes, Fawad, you can change the values during each iteration. That's what we did. So, for example, if I want to change the values in VBooks, now, just to show you, okay, I can do VBooks is 375. plus 100. Oh, sorry, v count. But a small problem. What does this statement do? Adds two numbers. But the problem is 375 is not a number. It is a string. It is not an integer. So if I remove the quotes and do this, each time the value in vbooks also will change arbitrarily. If I want specific numbers, I want to read it from a data table or a Excel table with our data in it, like this, for example. I want to read all these values correspondingly and put it in there. All right, that is what we will get to when we do a data-driven framework of this. What if I missed ampersand? Okay, what if you miss ampersand? And I want you to experience. Great questions, team, and I want you to try it. What if you don't write this and you try and execute the code? The test run cannot continue due to syntax error. QTP doesn't understand what you're trying to say when you said print value in variables vbooks is colon equals. So this is a syntax error. It is an error in communication. You're not giving the right information for QTP to understand. It cannot understand what you said, and hence it will not run beyond it. Explain step 33 again. Okay, step 33, what it does is, number one, it takes a variable v count. It starts putting the values starting with 100 into it, and it increments it each time by a value of 1. So it will go to 101, it will go to 102, 103, 104, 105, each time that it hits the next statement. Why QTP is not showing the line number when you removed the ampersand? Probably it found a syntax. I think it did show, if I'm not wrong. It did show the line number, if I'm not wrong. But you should try it again, team. Okay? Try if it is. Set v count on line 48. On line 48. Yeah, so what is this doing? This is the object. It is answering the where QTP has to do certain thing. This is the what. This is what is answering. What should QTP do once it finds this web edit grants object? It's saying set. Set with what? Set with the value. Take the value in v count and set it inside that edit field. And v count is changing each time. So each time, once line 35 to line 54 get repeated because of this for loop, which we will use multiple times, team, so that you can practice on it. It'll take a different value each time. What are the different values? It'll start with 100, go till 105, an increment of 1 each time. Yeah, you can use random numbers also. We can come to it later. It's very simple. It's called random. There's a feature within QTP called random, and you give a range of numbers. It will pick up one range random number from it. The intent is to explain these common things. The need is to be able to ultimately be able to read from this Excel. Okay. The intent is not to read random numbers at the point. Okay. We want specific data so that I can calculate in an Excel what I expect and what I'm getting out of the application and be able to print results saying is it a true or a false. Seventy, that's fine. I will go with the option that you mentioned first. Okay, please don't discuss those things in the class. You can call me if you have anything apart from what we're discussing in the class, team. I think it shows line 1. Okay, not the actual where the problem occurs. Yeah, because even before executing, it tries to QTP any programming language compiles the script. Okay, then it executes. So during compilation itself, it may face an error, which we don't see. And we honestly don't have to go to that integrity level, but good to know features, not must to know. How is QTP compiling in the background, the code, how is it working, how is QTP actually running through that code, how is it taking the information and converting it into action steps on the application, extremely important. Okay, Mohammed, I couldn't hear you the last time. I'm trying again. Prasanna, go ahead please. Prasanna, you have a question?
Yeah, when we took out the ampersand in front of the variable, why is it like an error? I expect that it's not a string anymore. So still the value of vbook which we declared as string.
Right. Sorry, Tanvi, got your question. Why is very simple. It's a syntax error. Okay. If syntax error is basically saying that there is a problem in communication. There's a problem in your statement. It is not correct. This, as you see, QTP cannot understand this statement. It doesn't know what to do with this thing in strings and then this variable. Do you want to join them or do you want to do something else? It doesn't want to make an assumption about it. What is it that we wish to join is exactly what we need. And that's what you have to say by using ampersand. Now QTP knows when it is executing this that this is what it has to do. When QTP does not know what you're meaning by a statement, it gives you a syntax error. Okay, anytime, for example, go here, change something here and try and execute and see what QTP does. When it does not know what you're trying to say by giving a specific statement, it gives you a syntax error. Right? This statement is wrong without this, and hence it gives you that error. Let me save this before it ends. Team, I will send all this folder zipped version tonight my time, just to let you know. All the Excel and everything, I'll be sending it out. And the video, I'll upload it into screencast.com, to which all the confirmed participants you've been given access to. I will also try and publish it to others. Okay. All right, team. Thank you then. We'll catch up tomorrow, and please be ready with any other questions, but most importantly, try and practice each day as we go along. Take care, everyone. Bye for now. Bye, everyone.